And maybe a little touch right in here. Got to make those little noises. And sometimes those little noises really do help. For some reason, they just sort of make things work better. There. All right. We'll just use that same old brush. Shoot, we don't care. Take a little bit of cad yellow ochre. Be right back. Get a little touch of black. A little bit of sap green. There we go. But mix these colors on the brush so you have a multitude of things happening on the brush. A little Indian yellow here and there, and here and there I'm going to touch the least little touch of the bright red. All on one brush though. Look at all the colors that are in that one brush. And we're touching and pushing. Okay, let's go up here. Now then I want to make little grassy areas that flow right up the hill. So all we do is touch and tap. Follow the angles. Always follow those angles. There. See? But isn't that simple? All you're doing is just tapping. The most important thing is the angles here. You don't want your mountain to flow up this way and you put grasses going in a different direction. It will disturb you. I bet you've looked at paintings and your mind says something's wrong with that painting. You might not be able to tell exactly what it is, but you know something's wrong with it. And sometimes it can be something as simple as that. So these little things that we talk about all the time, like lay of the land and following the correct angles, are most important. Most important. They'll make your painting special. Very special. Watch here. See? That one sort of went on over. So all you have to do, we'll take a little touch of black. Put right there. See? Just give it something to stand on. Don't let it just lay out there by itself. There. And very lightly pull that down. And I want it to remain a little darker. So it looks like it's closer in the foreground. There. Very lightly. Just let it blend right into nothing. And you can do that with just a knife. That easy. Least a little bit of color on the knife, and you can put the indication here and there of little things that are happening. But that's just a little black on there. Just to see how it makes it look like there's little things happening back there. And every time you have a little projection here, you need a little shadow underneath it or it won't play with you. It'll just go home and leave you. There we are. There. See, then with a clean brush you can very gently just blend that up a little bit. But isn't that a neat way of making a mountain? It really looks like it's far away. Now we go back to our brush that has the grassy colors on it. And we can begin just putting in all kinds of little things. And once in a while, you can hit a least little touch of titanium white and just put a little bright spot here and there. But don't overdo, or it will lose its effectiveness. Like there's a little light hitting right there. Bing! There it comes. It's going right over. There it is. See, I tell you what, let that go right on out there. And once in a while you can hit a little sap green just to give it a little dark areas here and there so it's not all the same identical color. There we go. There. Okay. But isn't that a fantastic and very easy way of making a gorgeous little mountain? Ooh. Sometimes I get carried away. I see something here. Let's take some black, Prussian blue, a little crimson, and sap green. We'll just mix all those together. Okay, let me wipe my knife off. We just wipe the old knife on a paper towel. Yeah. Use number 3 fan brush, and I'm going to put some of that dark color on there. Both sides, load it full. And maybe right up in here lives, yep, maybe there's a little stand of evergreens that lives right in here. I think that's what you call a whole group. I know it's not a herd of evergreens, so I think it's a stand of evergreen. A whole family, what the heck. A bunch. There. Now, back to our brush we were making the little grassy areas with. Put a little grass right there in front. And see, that dark color will make an instant shadow underneath it. You don't even have to worry about it. There we go. Now then, let's get crazy. You know me. You know me. I like to play. Let's see, we had black, a little Van Dyke, a little Prussian. Mix that same color again. Once again, our little roll of paint. There it is. Maybe over here on this side. Yep. Let's have another one. It lives right here. Another big old mountain. It comes down right there. Certainly does now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this one's got a little bump right here too. And then comes right on out like that somewhere. There we go. But mostly black. I'm using a very dark color here, mostly black. All right. Now, grab that, and once again, just pull it out, just like we did the other one. This is just a repeat of the other side. We'll do it twice, and that'll give you a lot of practice. A lot of practice. There. Okay. And once again, we take a little white, put a little touch of dark sienna in it. Maybe at least a little touch of black into that one, just so it has some variations. Come right up here. Barely touch. Whisper. Just whisper light. Let it go. Let it go. No pressure. I think I've mentioned before when I was teaching my son Steve to paint. I used to tell him just to pretend he was a whisper. It floated right across the mountain. And he understood that. Made him understand what a gentle touch this is. A lot of times I absolutely drop the knife because I'm holding it so gently. All right. Now, we go back to our brush that had the little grassy colors on it. And let's just sort of bring all that together. There it comes. See, just let that grass float right up there though. Just sort of let it work its way right up there. And you have to decide how far up the mountain it lives. Since this is your world, you make that decision. There we go. Wherever. There. Okay, maybe there and there I'm going to touch a little tiny bit of the bright red, but not much, not too much bright red. But once again, and I know you get tired of hearing it, but pay attention to these angles. They're so important. These angles are what make it work. They make it work. There. Something about like that. And you can make this as bright or as dark as you want it, depending on your mood and what you see in your painting. Any way that you want it. Sometimes when you're not in such a good mood, paintings have a tendency to get a little darker because paintings reflect your mood. Sometimes you're not even conscious of it, it happens. Now then, I'm just going to take a clean, dry brush, and I want to tap the base of this to create the illusion of mist down here. Just the illusion of mist. There, right down here at the base. Okay, very gently. You can also grab and lift upward here and there to make it look like little distant tree shapes. Little trees that are poking up. There. Okay. Now then. Let's tell you what, we'll just take that old dark color that we had. Go right into it. This was the evergreen color. So let's go back in here. Maybe there's a little bit of land lives right here. There it comes. Just tap it in. The big thing I wanted to show in this painting is how to make very simple little mountains. And I think we've done some pretty nice little mountains there for little quickies. You can do that. There. This is just dark color so we can put a lighter color on top of it later. It'll stand out. Absolutely have to have dark in order to have light. Gotta have dark. Gotta have opposites, dark and light and dark, continually in painting. If you have light on light, you have nothing. If you have dark on dark, you basically have nothing. There we are. You know, it's like in life. If got to have a little sadness once in a while so you know when the good times come. I'm waiting on the good times now. There. I'm mixing black, a little sap green, Prussian blue, Van Dyke brown, alizarin crimson, anything that looks dark. Let me clean off my knife. Anything that looks dark. And we'll load up the old fan brush here, full of color, a lot of color. Let's build us a forest. Maybe back here, all we're going to do is touch and pull down. Don't worry much about this. All you're looking for is some very basic little shapes back in here. Just some basic little shapes, wherever you think they should be. Something like that. Okay. Wherever. There. These are little background trees that are far away. Far away. They just live here, and they look back at that big old mountain range and have a good time. And then here and there, and there and here, there's a few that are a little more distinct. There. So use the corner of the fan brush and put you some little arms and limbs and little hands, whatever. All kinds of little things out here on these trees. There we go. And you just decide how many live in there, wherever you want them. There. Okay, maybe over here they're a little bigger, maybe a little stronger here, a little more light hit them. There we go. We'll give him another friend. What the heck? Something like that. All right. Let's go on the other side. Don't want him left out. We'll give him a nice big strong tree right there. There he is. But as you work down, push harder and harder with the fan brush. It'll force the bristles to bend downward, and it'll make all those little hangy down things underneath your tree limbs. And evergreens always seem to have those little hangy downs. I don't know what you call them. Little limbs that hang down. So they have to be little hangy downs. There. And you put as many or as few of those in there as you want. Now, one of the most fantastic things that happens with this technique is reflections. Watch here. When I was a traditional painter, I used to agonize over reflections. In this style of painting, it's one of the easiest things that we do. Just easy. Pull straight down and go across. But it needs to come straight down. Straight down. And then very gently go across, like so. And we go back to our brush. It had the grassy colors on it, sap green, yellows, all the yellows. Just mix them on the brush, though. Okay, let's go up in here. Maybe there's a, look at there. Yep, you're right. Just a nice little area back here. Something like that. There, and all we're doing is just tapping. No big surprises here, just tapping. But follow the lay of the land. It's most important. You decide where it's at and how you want it to be. Okay, maybe over here it comes this direction. I don't know. It's up to you. You make the big decision. We just show you how, but you make the decisions. When you have this much power, you have to make big decisions. Oh, let's have some fun here. We'll take a little bit of liquid white. Let's put in just a little water, right? A little water line right into here. There. So just sort of let that just go right around in there, wherever you want it. Wherever. There. The other side over here. I have a little one right in here. But I want this one to look like it sort of curves around. So just do that like that. And I'll put it in there first, and then I'll put the dark so you can see it behind it. Put a little reflection down, go across. Then all we have to do is put a little highlight on there. There we are. Then come back, our little water line. Drop that in. We take our fan brush, Put a little dark green on it. And we can add just a few little highlights on some of these evergreens. Not a great deal. Want to keep them quite dark. Something like so. Just a few. Let's go on the other side and give it a few. And I think with that, we just about have a finished painting. I really hope you try this one, because as I said at the beginning, this is a very simple painting that you can do even if you've never painted before. So, from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend. Welcome back. Certainly glad you could join us today. I thought today maybe we'd just do a fantastic little winter scene. So let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, let me show you what I got going up here today. I have my standard old 18 by 24 inch canvas, but you use whatever size is convenient. And today I've put a piece of contact paper on here and just cut a little oval out of it. And I thought we'd just do a little winter scene and see what happens. We've covered the inside of this with liquid white and it's all wet and ready to go, so let's just have a good time. Sometimes when you're doing winter scenes, they can get so cold they're almost distasteful. I mean, you have to put on a coat just to look at them. I thought today we'd do one that's very warm and very pleasant, and it makes you feel good. So let's start out and use some warm colors in this. I'm going to start with a little bit of the Indian yellow. Just a little on the 2-inch brush. Don't need much. Just a little. Okay, let's go right up in here. Maybe we'll have a little bright spot in our world. There it is, right about there, wherever you want it. Something like so. There. And we just sort of let it go out, about like that. While I have that color on the brush, maybe we'll have a little water. Let's just pull that straight down right there, or straight up, whichever, it doesn't matter. Now then, we'll take a little cad yellow and a little bit of the bright red and just mix them together. And you could mix these on the brush, or you could pre-mix them. Either way, I'll just do it on the brush. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I want to make a nice orangey color here, about like that. All right. Now then, with that, we'll just lay in a little of that right around that first color of yellow that we laid in. There. Look at there. If you put 2 eyes and a big smile in there, you'd have a little orphan Annie. All right. A little bit more of the red there, and we'll just put that right in. Now, while we have that orangey color going, I'm going to add just a little of that right around the yellow that's down here. This is going to be water eventually. So we're just putting some color here. Something like so. Now then, let me grab another brush. I have several of each going here. Let's take a little touch of the Prussian blue. You need very little. It's so strong. A little Prussian blue, a little black, and just mix them together on the brush. Blue and black, or black and blue, whichever. Okay, and then right up here, I'm going to add just a little bit of that. Now we don't want that to get into that yellowish color because, as you know probably, it will turn green on us, and we're not looking for green in that. All right, let's wash an old brush. That's the most fun part of the whole technique, is just washing the brushes. Shake off the excess and just beat the devil out of it. Now very lightly, let's begin blending this out. Start in the light area and work outward. Always working outward. You don't want to take the dark color back into the center. There we go. Just blend it on out. There. Okay. Now then, to really sparkle that, watch here. Let me wash the brush one more time. I want to start with a nice clean brush. And it's a way of getting even my camera crew for picking on me too. I'm going to take a little bit of the titanium white on the 2-inch brush, just plain titanium white. Just load a little on there. And let's just go in here and dance in a little bit of this white color. Just sort of dance it in. I'm going to let it swirl and have fun and wherever it wants to go, but start in the lightest area and work outward. Want it to get darker as it goes away from this light area. There. Then very lightly, we can blend that together. Okay. And you can do that several times to make it as bright as you want it. It's up to you. You have to make that decision how bright you want it. You can make it very bright or leave it quite dark. Doesn't matter. Depends on the mood that you're trying to convey in your painting. Now then, we got that white on there, right below here. I'm going to put a little white right into what's going to be the water. Just like that. And then very gently, we can begin going across. The color will remain in there, but that sort of blends it all together. Okay, good. And one more time we'll wash the old brush. Just wash it. Shake it off. And we're in business again. Now then, I tell you what, let's use the, we use a 1-inch brush today. I'm going to take white. Be right back. Don't go away. Grab some of the bright red. I want to make a nice pink. Nice pink color. That's pretty. Now then, with that loaded on the 1-inch brush, let's go up in here. We need something to bring these two colors together because once again, we can't mix them or we'll end up with green. So we'll let this pink be a little cloud that lives right here, and it'll be our barrier. It's our protector. It keeps our color nice and pure and clean in between these two. And we'll just sort of let it blend down. And you can have happy little clouds that just float all around wherever you want them. Wherever you want them. You know, maybe there's even some over in here. I don't know, wherever you want them. Okay. And then back to our 2-inch brush. And then very gently we'll blend the base of the cloud with just the top corner of the brush. The top corner of the brush. There. And I beat it just to knock off the excess paint. And then very gently we can fluff that up and bring it all together. And that gives us a nice little barrier between these two colors. And you just blend that till you can't tell where one color stops and the next color starts. But isn't that a very nice little sky? And it's so easy to do. So very, very easy to do. All right. Okay, we'll wash the old 1-inch brush and have it all clean and ready. Actually, I just like to wash brushes. There. That's not as much fun as a 2-inch brush. Now, tell you what, let's use one of our round brushes. And let's start, we take some black, a little dark sienna, tiny little bit of Prussian blue. I don't want much Prussian blue in there. Maybe even a little Van Dyke. Little touch of crimson. So we have black, dark sienna, Van Dyke, little crimson blue, all of our dark colors. Now then, maybe in our world there live some nice trees right in here. And this round brush, I have the big round brush, and all you have to do is just tap. Just tap. And we'll put in some very basic shapes. Now I normally start at the bottom and work upward, because that way the darkest part of your bushes and trees and stuff is down here in the deep shadow, and as you work upward, automatically it's going to get lighter and lighter in value. And that's what we're looking for. Because underneath here there'd be all kinds of shadows that would hide everything. The little sneaky things that live way down in there. And as you run out of paint, you can put some very light ones, I'm barely touching here, that'll end up looking like they're far away, but very light. Just barely can see them. There. And darker ones in front of it. See how that makes another plane there? There we go. Something about like that. Whatever. Totally up to you. You make the decision. Now we take our script liner brush. Use a little bit of black or brown, whatever you want. I'm going to use black today, I think. Make that paint thin like ink. And let's go up in here and put us in the indication here and there a few little trunks and sticks and twigs and all these little things that make up the tree. Little skeleton of the tree. Gotta have some bones in him. Don't want him to just fall over. There and there. And sometimes you can just take the knife and just scrape through and allow some of the canvas to show. And it looks like little white sticks and twigs. And you have a lot of those in the woods too. They're not all dark. They're every shade there is. Dark, light, and everything in between. And that's the easy way to do that. In the last show I introduced you to a new brush. This little half-size round brush. So let's take it. We'll use a little bit of the yellow here, and let's get a little red. Let's make a nice orangey color. This is going to be a bright painting. Gorgeous winter scene. There. I like winter scenes. I grew up in Florida and was about 20 years old before I ever saw snow. And I joined the military, and I think our dear uncle found out, Uncle Sam, found out that I had never seen snow. And so he sent me to Anchorage, Alaska in January. And that's how I got introduced to snow. Before that, I thought ice was something that just grew in the refrigerator. I didn't know it actually grew on the ground. Had quite an indoctrination. A little more of the red. Now you can use any color you want. I just want to make something that's very bright and cheerful today. It's a fantastic day here. And it's nice to do scenes that reflect the way you feel. There. But work in layers. Those layers will create the depth in your trees and bushes. There we go. A little more. I'm just loading a little color on here. Something about like that. That's probably about all we need right there. Now watch. Let me find another brush. That one looks clean. Let's take just plain titanium white. Load some color right on that 2-inch brush. There we are. I've loaded it pretty sharp. It's almost a chisel edge. Pretty sharp. Okay, let's go up in here. Have to make a major decision. Where does your snow live in this world? And I think, yep, you're right. There it is. It lives right there. All you have to do is just pull. Just pull it. And allow it to pick up a little bit of that color so it looks like shadows in there. A lot of times we avoid picking up that color, and that little bit of color that it picks up is really what makes it so pretty. There we go. And the more you blend it, the smoother it'll become. And you can blend this till it looks like silk. It's really up to you. Sometimes you want snow that looks quite rough. Sometimes you want snow that looks like, oh, it's just smooth as it can be, smooth as silk. I'm add a little more color here and there. Back on this. This is the little half-size brush again. And yep, there's a little bush that lives right there. But so you put a layer of snow in, then put a bush. And let me grab, just stay right there. So now you grab the bottom of this and pull it out. And this is the way you create the illusion of distance. Now look at the layers. That's what makes all that work. Now you can even put maybe there's even a little one over here. Who knows? We don't want that side left out. But you can just close that right in. Just that easy. There. Okay, now we have what looks like a big tree up here. So let's work on it. Take our dark sienna, black, little tiny bit of blue, not much blue, because we're using yellow there. We don't want much blue or everything will turn green. Now let's bring this, we have a shape here. Let's just bring it right on down. See how you can pull this tree right into the foreground? All you have to do is decide where it lives, and you can move it anywhere that you want it. Lives right there now. Because we said it does. And this is our world, and we can do anything here. Now, our liner brush. Little touch of the black. And we'll give him a little arm in there, a little trunk. There. And just a few limbs. We're going to put some leaves on there, so you're probably not going to see most of them. But we know they're in there. Even if they all get covered up, we know they're in there. just to give him a little center. Let's see, let's use a little cad yellow. Let's have a nice bright color on this tree. Let me grab a little touch of that, a little bright red, maybe even a little alizarin crimson in that one. Ooh, I like it. Like it. Now, push the brush so it gets a little ridge of paint right out on the edge. And let's go up in here, start right above your shadow color. Then let's begin just laying in the indication of all kinds of little highlights there. There. Winter scenes don't always just have to be blue and white and cold colors. You can make winter scenes that are very warm and very pleasant. There. And if you're interested in selling paintings, and of course none of us are interested in that, but if you're out making a happy buck with your paintings, these are the ones that will sell because they go very nicely with about any decor and they really brighten up a room. And people like these. They really brighten it up. There we go. Okay, maybe don't kill all that dark. Maybe right in there, there's some little dewars. Just vary your colors back and forth, whatever you think. But let that just disappear right back into there. Because it'll be darker underneath that tree. There'll be a big shadow under that tree. Now, back to our brush that has the titanium white on it. And once again, allow it to pick up a little bit of that color, and it becomes your shadow. Pull it. There. That's all there is to it. And we can take a fan brush with some of those same colors on it. And just push it upward. And here and there we'll make a little grassy area that comes out of there. Cleans up the edges and brings it all together. Just like that. And smooth it out. Now, let's get crazy. What the heck? Black, dark sienna, little Van Dyke, little crimson. It's already a little blue in there, so that's all we need. Load some color back into this old big round brush. Let's make a decision. In our world there lives a big tree. And it goes, where does it go? Where does it go? Let's let it go. What the heck? Oops. Sometimes these things get away from you. Maybe, okay. All right, maybe it goes all the way to the top. What the heck? We can do that if we want to. Big old tree lives right up here. And maybe right down in front of here. But see, each one of these will make a different plane in your painting, a different layer. And that really helps create that illusion of depth and distance. I know I say that over and over, but it's so important. Now, back to our liner brush. We'll pick up a little bit of that black. And with that, let's put a trunk in this tree. We don't want it left out. You have trouble making the paint flow? All you need to do is add a little more of the paint thinner. And there's little limbs and sticks and twigs that are growing back in here. Maybe you can't see the entire thing. But they're there. We know they're there. See, there's one there. There we go. One that comes right off the contact paper. Any adhesive back paper will work for this. And you can create any shape that you want. It doesn't have to be ovals or squares or, just let your imagination go and make any old shape. One of the best ways I found to find different shapes, placemats have a variety of beautiful shapes that you can lay right on your adhesive back paper and make beautiful, beautiful shapes. I'm just loading this half-size brush back up again. And we'll go back up in here. Oh, there we go. There. So you can give it a little push sometime and just make them limbs look like they're hanging over. Just depends on the effect you're trying to get. Sometimes I hit straight. Sometimes I give it a little If you don't make that noise, it won't work. There we go. Just a little Just a little something. There we go. But think about some basic shapes and patterns in here. Don't just throw them on at random. Don't just throw them at random. There we go. There's another one. And we'll add a little more color. Ooh, that's nice. Each one of these would be a different limb in the tree. Different little projection. Just jumps right out at you. Once in a while you can add the least little touch of titanium white to your color. Just to sparkle someplace where you think the sunlight would really strike. But don't overdo or it'll lose its effectiveness. Will totally lose its effectiveness if you do too much. There. Little bush there. Maybe. There's one. All kinds of little doers that live in there. Wherever. Now some of these I want to leave almost black, almost dark. Because it'll really enhance it. Now, back to our white. And let's just pull across. See, let's picking up that color once again. Don't fight that when it happens. Don't fight it. Let it work for you. There. Now then. Anything that you don't like, you grab the bottom of it and just pull it down. It just becomes part of the reflection in the water. So you don't ever have to worry much about this because all you do, just pull it down. I add a little bit more of the same color on the brush so we'd have a little more of a reflection. Like that. Now I'll show you a little trick. We put that on with a knife or with a brush. Now take the knife, barely touching, and just let it bounce and graze. But don't cover up all that you did with the brush. It makes just a wonderful and beautiful effect. And people will go crazy trying to figure out how you done it. And don't you tell them that. That's our secret. Shh. That's our secret. There we go. There. See? There's another little doer right there. Take a little bit of liquid white. Come right back in here. And now we can just cut in a little water line or a little snow that's laying right along here. Something like that. Just something to cover up the bottom. And it brings it all together, smooths everything out. There. Okay, maybe in our world, maybe, yep, let's do this. Let's have that come right across here. Something like that. There. Now, back to our knife. Barely touch it. Let me get a little more paint on there. Just sort of let that just float across there. Allowing that paint to break once again. Allow that paint to break. That's what makes it look good. Now, tell you what, let's do. Shoot, we're having so much fun. Let's really get crazy. Maybe over here there's another one. Just put in a very basic little shape to start with a little shadow color in it. Something like so, a little shadow underneath, pull it across. And back to our titanium white. Now, very lightly, once again, just sort of let that float right along on there. Just let it float. Back to our liquid white. Now we can put a little water line in there. Like so. There. And then let's go back to our old fan brush. It has the colors on it. And we can put in little grassy areas and little things all over wherever we decide they should live. I think there should be one right there. Comes right out. There we go. And maybe, yep, you're right. There's another one right there. But this helps form all these little shapes. Maybe over on this side, there's, yeah, there he is. Comes right along in there. Something like that. We can take our knife, pop in all kinds of little sticks and twigs and little things that live down here. And all you're doing is just scraping through the paint and allowing a little bit of the canvas to show through. And we'll go back to our liner brush, get a little bit of the, use a little bit of the black still. Want this paint to be thin as ink, so it flows very nicely. And here and there, and there and here, we'll put a stick and a twig, all these little things that just living out here and having fun. There. And it's these little details that'll make your painting special. And don't be afraid to add these. Enjoy them. There. Maybe there's even, yep, you're right. One or two out here and one about here. Something like that. Sometimes it's fun. Tell you what, let's take a little of the yellow color, maybe a little white on it. And dip in here and get the least little touch of liquid white to thin it, because we're getting quite a few layers of paint on there. So I have liquid white and a little yellow and white. Something like so. Just quite a bit of paint. Maybe we'll put just a few little, oh, look at there. Just push it upward. Like a few little doers that live right out there on that little stick. Look like a little happy bush. I think now is the moment of truth. So tell you what, we'll bring the camera right up here. Let's take the contact paper off and see what we have. This is fun time. Isn't that something? This contact paper is one of the neatest things that we've ever come up with. And I think everybody likes that. It really works well. As I mentioned earlier, we're not interested in selling paintings, but if you should be out selling paintings, this is one that will really sell. These ones with the ovals and the different shapes and stuff like that. I think this one's about done. So I'm going to take a little paint thinner, a little bit of red. And let's sign this one. We'll sign him right down here. Really hope you've enjoyed this little painting, because it's an easy one that you can do. We're going to call that one finished. Enjoyed being with you today. And from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend. Hi, certainly glad to see you today. You ready to do a fantastic little painting? Tell you what, let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, let me show you what I've got done up here today. I have my standard old canvas up here. It says a pre-stretched double prime canvas, and I've covered it with just a thin, even coat of liquid white from top to bottom, and it's ready to go. So let's just do a fantastic little painting together and just have a good time. Today, let's start with a very small amount. Oh, let's use a little bit of the Indian yellow. Not much, just a little. On the 2-inch brush. There we go. Just tap a little into the bristles. All right, let's go right up here. Let's just start right along in here. I think the horizon's going to be somewhere in this area. And it doesn't really matter. And we'll just blend it upward using little crisscross strokes. And that way it's mixing with the liquid white that's on the canvas. And automatically it'll blend and get lighter and very smooth. And there, a little bit more of the Indian yellow. And let's have a little bit down in this direction. Shoot, maybe we'll have a little water in here. You know me, I love water. So we'll just put a little bit of this right down into where we know there's going to be some water. There. Something about like that. This is a very simple little painting. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like this one. All right, let me wash the old brush. And we wash our brush in odorless paint thinner. And as I've mentioned before, I really, really suggest you use odorless thinner. Just beat the devil out of it. If you don't use odorless thinner, you're going to be working by yourself, and your popularity around the home front's going to go down about 15 points. Here we go. I'm going to take a little bit of the Midnight Black, just Midnight Black on the 2-inch brush. And let's go up in here and very gently, still using our little crisscross strokes, let's just put a little bit of that right up in here. It too will mix with the liquid white, and you get those beautiful, beautiful values there. It just begins blending. There. Something about like that. And we'll just put it down to about that area, and then we'll come back with a clean brush and blend it in a second. Okay, now then, a little bit into the water. And if we're going to have water, let's just do this. Pull from the outside in. I'm still using nothing but just black. Just Midnight Black. There, to about there. And anything that we don't want to be water, we'll just put land right over it. As you know, if you've painted with us before, we don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents. And by that, I just mean that after a while, you begin to learn to work with anything that happens. We really don't make mistakes. You learn to use what happens. And that's when you truly, truly experience the joy of painting, because there's no fear of this canvas. And with this style of painting, that will happen very rapidly. There. A little bit of practice, just sort of a dream in your mind of what you want to paint. And off you go. Okay, let's wash the old brush again. Just wash the brush. Shake off the excess. And we're in trouble again. Now when you do this at home, they make such a little thing, it's called a brush beater, right? That goes down to the bottom of a wastebasket. And you can shake the brush inside of the basket, then beat that rack, and it contains all this. Because you certainly don't want to do that in your living room. As I say, you'll change your decor in a second. Now then, clean, dry brush, and it needs to be very dry. We just begin blending where these two colors come together. And you want to blend it until you can't tell where one color starts and the next color stops. And sometimes to do that, you need to sort of step back and take a look-see at your painting. When you're right up against it, it's very, very difficult to tell what you're doing. Step back across the room, get your glass of iced tea, sit down maybe and look at your painting for a minute or two. And then you can tell what you have. A lot of times people write and ask me how I develop all these paintings, because when this series is over, there'll be nearly 300 paintings. There will be 300 paintings. And one of the ways, as crazy as it sounds, a lot of times I'll start with just a blank canvas and sit and stare at it and begin visualizing things. And as you put each little thing on there, step back and look at it and think about it. And you learn to compose that way. There, tell you what, let's have some fun. I'm going to take some black, alizarin crimson mixed together. Just black and alizarin. And that'll make a nice lavender-like color. There. Pull it out very flat, flat as you can get it. Cut across and get that little roll of paint, and it should live right at the edge of your blade. I mean, it's right out on the very edge, okay? Maybe in our world, come right up in here. Maybe there's a little, way back in there's a little hill or a little mountain that lives way back right there. And all we're looking for is a nice shape on top. There. We're really not concerned with the bottom of it at this point. Something maybe like that. This one's going to be far, far away. So we're not looking for a lot of detail. We're looking for a basic shape, and that's all. And underneath it, since this is water, there's going to be some reflection. So you can just reflect it right into the water while you have that color on your knife. Okay. And I'm really, as you can probably hear, I'm rubbing quite hard with a knife. I want to literally push this paint right into the fabric. Just as my son Steve says, just sort of moosh it in there. That's probably not a word, but everybody understands what he means when he says that. Just moosh it in there. All right. Now then, with the old 2-inch brush here, just sort of blend that out. Just blend it out. And you can actually make it look like highlights and shadows just by using brush strokes in here. There we go. There, brush strokes, that's the name of our newsletter. There. We do a lot of interesting articles in that. I really enjoy writing for it. Now then, where our reflections are, just pull that straight down. Straight down. See there? And instantly, we have reflections. Go across. And that's all there is to it. Reflections used to drive me crazy when I was a traditional painter. And in this style of painting, it may very well be one of the easiest things that we do. And you can take a little of dark paint and here and there maybe just put in the indication of some little shadows and highlights without really doing a great deal. If you put too much detail in here, it's going to destroy that illusion of distance in your painting. And we want it to look like it's far, far away back here. But just rub it with a knife. There. See? And you can just let that just blend anywhere that you want it. It gives the indication without a lot of detail. Sometimes it's neat to take just a little touch of the dark sienna white, not much white, and right down here at the bottom, just really scrub in a little bit of that. Make it look like there's a little dirt down at the bottom of it. But that's up to you. You may not want to put that in. Strictly up to you. I sort of like it. It changes this flavor a little bit. There. All right. Yeah, we can take a little bit of the liquid white and put it out here on the palette and pull it out very flat. Just as flat as we can get it. And then cut across, just like that. And we can go up in here and just begin cutting in the indication of a little water line. There we go. Now, if you make these and they're too thick or you don't like them, if you just take the knife and rub them, just rub them very hard, they'll just basically disappear right into the color that's on the canvas. And I tell you little things like that in case you ever make it. A lot of people get worried that they've made a mistake. That's not a mistake. All you do is just rub it a little more. Don't worry about it. There's nothing to fear on this piece of canvas. The absolute worst thing that can happen is that you enjoy it. It's fun. Painting should be fun. If painting doesn't make you happy, then you're doing the wrong thing. And if you're fortunate enough, as I have been, to take something that you love as much as this and learn how to do it for a living and be fortunate enough to be successful at it, my God, the world's a great place then. Tell you what, we'll just use this old 2-inch brush. It's dirty here. Let's take a little black, a little Van Dyke brown, a little touch of the Prussian blue. We need some crimson too. Shoot, might as well put a little sap green in there. Just all the dark colors basically. Tap a little bit of that color into the brush. We're just pushing and tapping the old 2-inch. Let's go up here. Maybe in our world there lives, yep, it does now. Maybe there's some nice little things that live right along in here. And all we're looking for at this point are some very, very basic little shapes. Maybe there's a tree that lives right here. And just a happy little tree. Hangs out here and looks back at the mountain that's in the distance. Well, maybe this is a big tree. Seems to be growing on us, but that's all right. That's all right. We can have any size tree in our world that we want. Got a little bigger than I thought it would. That's fine. There. Okay. Now while we have this dark color on here, let's just pop in a little reflection. We can do that. We're just pulling straight down. But it's important that these lines go straight down. And then very lightly, 2 hairs and some air, just go across. And sometimes, let me see here, we have black and blue, little brown, crimson, little sap green, I think. Something like that. Let me wipe off the old knife here. I just wipe the knife on a paper towel just to clean it. We use a fan brush. Then we'll put a little evergreen tree in there. I like little evergreens, and they're a lot of fun to do. And they work so nice. Okay, load both sides of the brush with a lot of paint. Okay, let's go up in here. And maybe, big decision time, maybe our little evergreen lives right there. Take the corner of the brush and just touch. Then as you work down the tree, touch harder. And you're pushing the bristles downward. Make them bend downward. And as you go down the tree, push harder and harder. And that makes the tree get wider and wider. And it almost happens automatically. With a little practice, you'd be surprised how easy it is to make something like an evergreen tree. There. That's all there is to it. Now we can take that same color, go into a little bit of the cad yellow, and we have instant green, because there's blue in there, and black, and both of them, when mixed with yellow, make green. And we can highlight that little tree with the same old brush, no problem. There. Isn't that a cute little tree? And you can do that. All right. Let's have a tree trunk in there. We'll take some paint thinner, a little bit of the Van Dyke brown, or whatever color you would like for your trunk to be. I thought today brown would be nice. And let's come right along here and this old tree seems to be leaning over, so we'll make its trunk lean over too. That looks funny if you got a straight trunk and a crooked tree, so we'll have them both crookedy. And put a few little arms and limbs on it. We're going to put some leaves out here, so most of this will be covered up, but a little of it will show. There. And you can take the brush and pull it through a little bit of white or liquid white, just some light color, and run right down his edge like that, and give him a highlight. That easy. And just sort of blending back. Now you got a light side and a dark side of your tree. Well, I'll tell you what. We're into using old dirty brushes. We'll use that same old brush today. Go right into a little bit of the yellow, little yellow ochre. Here and there we're going to touch a little bit of the bright red. And the bright red is used as a duller. It dulls the green down. Okay, see that little bit of paint there? That's what we're looking for. Just push it. Okay. Now then, using just the corner of the brush, or you could do this with one of the round brushes, or the oval brush works very well for this too. Beautifully. Now then, let's just tap in some nice little highlights on this tree. I sort of like this old 2-inch brush. I like it. And if you're demonstrating for people, and that's really a lot of fun to demonstrate for people, use this old big brush, because they're just not used to seeing this much detail done with a brush the size of something you probably painted the barn with last week. It really grabs people's attention. There. Maybe, well, I got that going. Maybe, yeah, we'll have another little tree that lives right there. You just sort of pick them out. They live right in there. All you got to do is just find them. There. Okay. Maybe there's a little touch back in here. I don't want much back here. Just a little, just to indicate. Now another way of making a lot of beautiful little bushes, I'm going to use the 1-inch brush, put some liquid white on it, and the liquid white is only to thin the other color. Be right back. Let me get a little green here. There. Pull this in one direction. One direction. Look at the end of it. A lot of paint in there. A lot of paint. But by pulling it in one direction, you round one corner. Turn it over, and that rounded corner goes to the top. Let's go right up here. Now, with the rounded corner up, touch and just push. Gently upward. It's a very gentle push. You do not have to push hard. There we go. And that's all there is to it. You can make some of the most gorgeous, lacy looking little bushes. Do one at a time. Don't get greedy. One at a time. One at a time. And that way they will look layered. One's on top of the other. There. Okay. Something about like so for right now. And then we can take our liquid white, and I'm going to put a least little touch of, we'll use a little blue, not much blue, tiniest little bit of Prussian blue and black. I want a gray color. Maybe, tell you what, a little dark sand in there. Oh, that's nice. That's what I'm looking for. Tiniest little bit of color on there. And we'll just make the indication of land using nothing but that. Allow it to pick up some of that color that's already on the canvas, and just let them blend together. And it's a very simple way of making a nice little area that looks like land without doing a whole bunch. And with a clean knife, you can just take and scrape in some little trunks and sticks and stems and just all kinds of little things that live in the woods. There they are. Something like so, wherever you want them. Now then, tell you what, I'm going to take a little bit of the liquid clear. Get a little liquid clear. To that, I'm going to add titanium white and midnight black. I want to make a nice thin, that's the key word, thin gray color. But it's very thin. Okay, let me lay that up there. Clean off the old knife. Now, today let's use a filbert brush. Okay, I'm going to go right through the midnight black, load both sides full of color, just like so. Now we walk right over in here, and I'm going to take and pull one side through that thin light color we made. So we have dark on one side, light on the other. Now watch. We come up in here, and with one stroke, we can put the indication of a lot of little stones and rocks and things that are happening right back in here. But that way it'll make the highlight and the shadow in one stroke. Then you need to come back with the color used and just sort of go around the edges and clean the edges of all that up. There. All right. Let's get crazy today. Let's go back into our dark color. Yeah, let's do this. What the heck? Since I say anything that you don't want in here in the way of water, we'll just cover it up. Maybe this comes, let's go all the way across. Now this we can just fill in any old way. You could fill this in with a paint roller. It doesn't make any difference. We're just putting color on the canvas. If you're into using the black gesso, like I am, I love that stuff. You could actually have done all this with the black gesso, and it'd been that much easier. There. Okay, I really like that black gesso. We use it so much. I could just about do a whole series with nothing but black gesso. Shoot, you know what we need? You know me and my big trees. Yep. Let's have another big old tree that lives right here. All right. There. Maybe this big old tree just keeps climbing right on up. And this is your world, so you decide where your tree lives. Sometimes they just keep growing till they get clean on out of sight. Maybe we'll do that. What the heck? Let's just have one that goes right on off the canvas. And all we're doing here is just putting in some dark color so our highlights will show when we drop them on. Just lay in a basic shape, and all I'm using is the corner of the brush, just the corner of the brush. Now a little black, run out of color. Crimson, sap green, little blue, little brown. Maybe right there. Yep, you're right. We'll just have a happy little bush. He lives there. But I want one over here too. I don't want this side left out. He lives right there. But isn't that neat how you can just close that in? That easy. All right. Now then, we need a tree trunk over here. Let's take a little Van Dyke brown, and just using the side of the knife, you can drop in a nice little trunk. That easy. That easy. Firm up the other side. He needs a friend. You know me. I'm fanatical about people having friends, and even trees need a friend. And painting has allowed me to meet so many people and make so many friends. That's probably the most rewarding part of this whole thing, is all the friends that we've made traveling all over the country and people watching the shows. All right, let's take a little white, a little dark sienna, not much. Pull it out flat. I'm cut off a little roll of paint. I'm going to touch and just give it a little round pull. And let me exaggerate. I'm going very, very gently. There, we'll do the other one. Something like that. And just let it go right on up. Okay, we go back to our brush that has the, yeah, has some nice grassy colors on it. We were working on the other side. And let's put some highlights on this tree. This would be a fantastic tree for one of my little creatures to live in. I got to show you one of my creatures. Here recently, my son Steve, who I'm sure you've seen on some of the other series, came to Florida to visit me. And I had the opportunity to introduce him to a couple of my little squirrels. And Steve had never had a squirrel set on him before. So it was, he's a little nervous about having this little tree urchin run all over his body. But he sat and watched for a little while, and pretty soon Steve was sure that he could handle it. But aren't these the cutest little devils? Now you saw these in earlier series, this little squirrel here, when he was just a tiny, tiny little baby. And now he's grown up and we've turned him loose and he moved far away. In fact, when I open my back door, I can look right up into his nest. There's a tree limb that comes right over my back door. And these two little brothers built a nest literally right over the back door so they can tell anytime anybody comes out. And hopefully they'll have a nut with them when they come out to feed them. I'm just putting some leaves on this tree while you're watching Steve there. Okay, now then, we'll go back into the liquid white and through some color. Maybe we'll get a little yellow ochre. Sometimes it's fun to tip it. There, I'll do it this way. Tip it with a little red. And then we can make a bush here that has red flowers in one stroke. There we go. A little bit more over in here. See, and just let those little rascals, they just live right here in your brush. Just got to sort of push them out. There we go. Let's go on the other side and give it a few. Don't want that side left out. There. But just push and turn the brush to shape your individual bush or tree. Don't just hit them all in one direction because the leaves and limbs hang every which way. And change the flavor of the paint, the color, every so often. Then you can just put all kinds of little things in there. And put as many or as few as you want in your world. Sometimes it's fun. Watch here. We'll take a little brown, a little Van Dyke, a little dark sienna, mixed together. Do something like this. Then we'll come back with a little touch of the brown and white. Barely grazing. Just let it graze. See? And you can just, we'll turn it into a nice little path that comes through there. Back to our brush that has the greens and stuff on it. We come back and we tap in some little grassy areas that live right down here at the bottom of these bushes. Just tapping. Once again, change your flavor every so often. You can add at least a little touch of titanium white. That'll brighten it up. There. And if you have trouble making the stick, add the least little touch of liquid white or paint thinner. If you don't want to change the color, use paint thinner, but very, very little of it. I can't say that enough. Very little of it. Work in layers, just like you did with the bushes. Other side, we'll put some over here. There we go. All kinds of little things. There. All right. So I say every once in a while, just sort of change the flavor and it'll stand out and look like a whole little different hill there. And that easy, you can make all kinds of little things. We'll put a few little quick stones in there using it. Black with a thin black on top, the thin gray. And you can just go in here and pop in indication of some little stones that live right along the bank. That easy. Maybe we'll put a big one right there. And there's one. Cover up his little foots. Take a knife, clean up the edges, and shoot you about have a finished painting. Something like that. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. It's a lot of fun. Give it a try. And from all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend. Hi, welcome back. Certainly glad to see you today. I thought today we'd do something that's a little bit different. So let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, let me show you this crazy thing I've got going up here today. I'm back to my good old black gesso. I love that black gesso. Taking a regular 18 by 24 inch canvas or any size that you want. And I've just taken a paper towel with black gesso and just sort of daubed all over like that and just sort of put a design in here. And I know it looks like a bomb went off in there, but hopefully it'll look better before it's over with. Allow the black gesso to dry completely. Now, all of it that has the black gesso on it, I've covered with a thin coat of liquid clear. And over that, I've put a mixture of Van Dyke brown, sap green, and a little bit of Prussian blue, not much blue. And up here it just has liquid white. And when you caught me, I was just finishing up with a little bit of this dark color that goes right over the black gesso. And all you need is just a thin, even coat. The reason we put the liquid clear on there first is because that way you can put a very thin coat. It's almost like a glaze over the black. If you just try to put solid color on there, you're going to put so much paint that when you put a little white on there, it's almost too bright. So this allows you to do very gentle little things. All right, and I'll just keep using that same old dirty brush and go into a small amount. Let's use a little tiny bit of the phthalo blue, not much, but right on that dirty brush. So I'm just going to mix it with that same color that's on the bottom of the canvas. Don't need much. And let's go right up here in the sky and see what we have. There. Just a little color, something like that. So we have phthalo blue with the same colors that we have on the bottom here. And we just sort of let it blend together. About like that. We'll come back with a clean brush and blend that a little more. But the color is transparent enough that the black gesso things come through, and it'll give that illusion of a lot of little things happening in the background without you hardly doing a thing. There. This black gesso may be one of the neatest things that I've ever invented. I really hope you like it. It has just about become a standard now in the art world. And it was, as they say, you saw it first right here on The Joy of Painting. All right, we'll just bring that right on down. Now let's have some fun. I'm going to take a clean brush, and I have several of each one going, so I don't have to spend all of my time just washing brushes. I just want to blend this out till it's nice and soft. And all it's doing is mixing with the liquid white that's on the canvas and blending. And you can blend this to any degree of softness that you want. That's about all we need right now. There. The only thing that I'm really sure of in this painting is that I'm going to have a big mass of trees right here in this very dark area. Other than that, I don't really care. You really don't have to make a lot of decisions with this. You just have a general idea of what you want. You need to know the time of year and the time of day for light, and of course if you're doing a winter scene, you want it to look a little cold, summer scene, vice versa, whatever. Without cleaning that brush, I'm going to go right into a small amount of the dark sienna. So I still have all that bottom color and the sky color, and I just added dark sienna right onto it. And let's go up in here and just begin picking out some little background things. I don't want a lot of detail because it's too far away. There, just a few little things that are way back in the distance there. There. Sometimes it's sort of nice to take your brush and put it up here and just bend it sidewards. And it'll make the indication of little trees that have little arms sticking out. But that easy. Maybe there's another one there, wherever you think they should be. And all you're doing is just bending the brush. We'll give them a little friend right in there. However many you want. It's up to you. And I don't want to cover up all those little things made by the black gesso that are showing through, because to me, those are very attractive, very pretty. There. I want it to be very soft and extremely misty. You can add a little titanium white to your brush once in a while. Very, very little. Smallest amount. Smallest amount. And it'll look just like mist laying back here. There. Something like so. Then we can add a few more darker bushes right in the foreground, right over the top of the mist. And that mist will act as a separator. It'll keep them apart. There we go. And there's not a great deal of paint on here. There really and truly is a lot of different colors, but there's not a great deal of paint. If you was to scrape that very hard, you'd get very little off of it. Okay, back to our dark sand. Let's go on the other side and do a little bit over in here too. We don't want this one left out. Maybe over here there's one of those sidewards trees. And I don't want them to be very distinct. If they're real distinct, you'll lose that illusion of distance. We'll do things that are very distinct in the foreground. Back here, we only want suggestions. There. Once again, maybe the least little touch of that titanium to create a misty area. Back to some of our darker colors. There we go. Just tap in the indication of some little distant bushes and things that are happening. Now, let's go, let me find a knife here. We'll mix up some color. Let's take some black, a little Prussian blue, some Van Dyke brown, a little sap green, same basic colors that we had before. All right, let me wipe off the old knife. But the predominant color here is black. Most of it is black. We put the other ones in there just to flavor it a little bit. I'm going to just load the brush by tapping it right into the color. Just tap it. Let's go right up in here. You have to make some big decisions using just the corner of the brush. Now let's begin just laying in all kinds of very basic little patterns. This is going to be a big clump of trees back here, I think. So we'll start laying in some very basic little shapes. And because we have that black gesso in there, we have to do very little, very, very little in the way of putting in our darks. They're already there. In fact, the worst thing you can do is cover all that up. All those little light areas in there will look like light coming right through the tree. That's the reason I put that on with a paper towel rather than a brush. If you put it on with a brush, you just have solid color. And I'm really looking for these little light areas. It'll drive people crazy if they don't know how you did that. That's our secret. Don't you tell them. Just between you and I. There we go. And down in here, I want that to be quite dark. Like so. Well, that'd be a fantastic place for one of my little critters to live. In the last show, I showed you Steve being introduced to one of my little squirrels. Now, Steve had never played with a squirrel before. I'm going to show you him again while I'm doing this. I'm just going to be putting in some of this little dark area. And we'll show you here. This is in my backyard in Florida. And Steve finally got enough nerve up to let the little squirrel jump on him. There. But isn't he the cutest little devil? I mean the squirrel. Steve's a little big to be cute. When this was made, Steve is, what's Steve, 24 now. He's 24. Little short guy, he's 6'5". He calls me Shorty. Now then, let's take our liner brush, go into some paint thinner. And we'll take a little brown, grab a little white there too. There, nice color. A little brown, a little white. Van Dyke and dark sienna both mixed in here. Hope you enjoy seeing those little critters. Okay, just pull that to a nice point. And let's go back in here. In here, and there, and there, and here. Let's put the indication of a few little limbs, sticks, trunks, twigs, whatever, that live back in here. I don't want them to be real distinct, but enough that they stand out. There. Maybe add a little more white to this one. There we go. A little more paint thinner. Let's have a nice one. Yep, Liz, right there. And let your hand wiggle and jiggle and make all those little crazy things. I have people write and they tell me they can't paint because their hand shakes a little. Shoot, you have an advantage. Use it. There's no reason that one can't paint. No reason. I have one lady who paints with us, lives in the Boston area, and she's totally blind. And she paints along with us, just from listening. That's one fantastic lady. Takes a lot of nerve to do that. And she does it very well. I've seen some of her paintings, and you wouldn't believe what she's doing. Would not believe. So if she can do that, the rest of us don't have any excuse. There. This one's got a little more brown, and it doesn't matter. I just have to hit a little more. However you want them. There. Now then, let's take, this brush doesn't have too much on it, we'll just use it. Let's have a little bit of the yellow ochre. I'll be right back. I'm going to get a little dark sienna, put it maybe a little more. There. Cat yellow, yellow ochre. We'll use some Indian yellow for it, so with, and even some of the bright red. Just load a little bit of color. Just push, so you can see how that's, see that little ridge right there? There's one just like it on the bristles, and that's what we're going to use. And we can come in here and very lightly. I don't want a lot of color back here. Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. Just a little. Just a little. Don't overkill. Just enough to make you stand out a little. I want this to be a very subdued, quiet painting back here in the back. A little bit more of the dark sienna, yellow ochre, a little Indian yellow in there. There. See how that works? And I'm using just the corner of the brush. I'm not using the entire brush. And this will work with a 1-inch brush, with either one of the round brushes. The oval brush, the 1-inch oval brush, will do it just as good. Just whatever your preference is. Practice a little bit with all of them and find the one that works the best for you. And then that's the right brush for the job. There. There we go. There we go. I love to do little paintings like this, especially with this black gesso. It just makes it so easy. So easy. There. But you've already got a whole clump of trees there. That easy. All right. Now maybe, let's see, I'm going to add the least little touch of the bright red to that. We need a little sparkler in there. A little sparkler, but I don't want it too bright. Maybe even then go into the least little touch of the titanium white. And I'm going to come right in here. Oh, there's a beautiful little bush. He lives right along in here. Just pick him out. There he is. There he is. Darker, darker, darker down toward the base. Down toward the bottom. Don't let him get too bright on you. There. Highlighting with a little touch of the yellow ochre. Just to change his flavor a little. I see another one right there. See, these little things that you just drop in at random, all of a sudden begin, they look like little things back in there. You're not too concerned when you first start. You just sort of let them go wherever. But then as you begin painting, all these little things that were happy accidents turn into beautiful little things. Don't fight them. Learn to enjoy them. Let them happen. Well, I'll tell you what, how about, let's do this. Maybe, yep, you're right. Look at here. Maybe there's a nice little grassy area that lives right along in there. What a gorgeous place to have a little grassy area. Back underneath all these beautiful trees. There. Okay. And just think about the way you want the land to go here. Oh, that got a little brighter. See, that'll look like a whole different plane. Just by making it a little brighter. Hit a little more of the yellow ochre in that one. Just sort of vary your colors back and forth. Shoot. It's unreal what you can do. Absolutely unreal. Let me get my liner brush here. Have a little bit of brown on it. Just a little bit of the Van Dyke. Not much, just a little. I'm going to put a few little sticks and twigs back here too. Need a little more thinner. If it doesn't go real easy, real smooth, add a little thinner. There we go. Some of them very light, can't hardly see them. Other ones a little darker. All right. A few over in here. Okay, touch more of the color. But just wherever you want them. Now, I see something. Let me find a fan brush. There. Dip that into a little bit of the a little bit of the liquid white and then go into titanium white. And I'll be right back. I'm going to get the least little touch of phthalo blue and put in there. Least, whew, tiny little bit. So strong. So strong. I see something here. It's just, I have to do this. Watch here. I have to do this. Watch, watch. Over. It's just a perfect place for a little waterfall to just sort of sneak out from behind there, come crashing down, and it splashes right along in there. See it? See it? There it is. And it just sort of starts from there and begins working out. Begins working out. Again, I see all kind of things. Now watch, watch, watch. Look, pull down, straight down, and it's going to pick up that color that's underneath. There it comes. Now, go across. Back to our fan brush. It has that color on it. And very lightly. Just grazing the surface. Just make the water slick and shiny. That easy. There. Isn't that fantastic? You can do that. That easy. That easy. Now we need a little something over here to contain it. Because we have that black gesso underneath, we don't even have to put anything on there. It'll just go right in. Brighten it up with a little touch of yellow so you can see it a little better. There we go. Now it shows up. Now watch you. Okay, let's take, we'll use a little black and Van Dyke brown mixed together. I need to mix up. I'm going to take some liquid white, put it right out here. Just a little bit of the liquid white. And to that, mix some dark sienna and Van Dyke brown. I want to make a very thin brown color. All right. Okay, let me wash off the old knife there. We pull this brush through black and brown, then half of it through that thin color we made. And let's have, right in here, yeah, just a bunch of little stones. Just a bunch of little stones live right in there. There they are. But you can make both sides of the stones in one stroke just by doing that. There. And, of course, the water's got to sneak right over there. Got to make those little noises. Just doesn't work without those little noises. And back to another brush. And let's pull this down. I'll tell you what, maybe this comes right on around here. I don't know. Where do you want it to go? In your world, you decide. Maybe it comes right on around, and it's mixing with the color that's on the canvas. And automatically you get all these beautiful shades and hues. Just very lightly go across. We have instant reflections there. And I don't want this to be too bright. I want it to stay sort of subdued in this particular little painting. I feel it would be quite dark. Just let it just sort of skim across there. All right. Now then, let's finish up some little grassy areas right in. Just sort of let them flow back here. Farther back. Wherever you want them. Here and there, I'm going to touch the least little bit of the titanium white. So it looks like there's a little light zinging through there, but not much. Not much. If you use much, it'll ruin the illusion. Too much. There. See there, though, how you can make all those little hills? There we go. Okay. But once again, there's not a great deal of paint on the canvas because you have the black gesso on there. That dark color is already in, so you don't have to apply very much paint. It takes very little color to actually do this. Very little color. And maybe, let's really get crazy here. Let's just cut off our little stream. It comes right across here. Gotta have something to contain it. There it is. Okay. Now then, Let's take a brush that's got a little of that dark color on it. Maybe right in here, tap in a few little things. We'll have a little tree right there. Just a little tree. Give him a little trunk. Just some brown and white on the liner brush. There we go. Just brown and white thinned with paint thinner. A few little arms here and there. We can come back. Put a little highlight on there. Just a little. All right. So now we have a little tree that lives right there. Right about there. All right. Let's get crazy. You know me. You know me. Let's take some Van Dyke brown. Little black. Little black. Little crimson. A little crimson in there too, yeah. In my world, here goes our beautiful trees back here. Be brave. This is your bravery test. We'll just have us a big tree that lives right there. We'll give him a friend. Have 2 big trees. Just drop those rascals right in there. There. Maybe they sit out here on a big rock. Big old rock that lives here on the edge of the water. Maybe it's all been washed away except that. And we take a little white, a little dark sienna, a little touch of the Van Dyke. Get us a small roll of paint. And then just touch, just graze. Something like that. Just let it graze. Work right down like that. Allowing the paint to break. No pressure. Absolutely no pressure. Little Prussian blue and white. And on the one side here we can put a little blue. Makes a little reflected light on there. Let's have some fun here. We got a minute or so left. I'm going to take my filbert brush and turn this into great big stones that are all around the edge of this. There we are. Just, here they go. Bloom, bloom, bloom. However many you want. However many you want. There. See how you can just give the illusion that there's all kind of stones and rocks down here at the base of this couple of old trees. That's all you have to do. Take our fan brush, a little bit of that thin paint on it. Clean up the edges. Looks like a little water lines around the bottom. There. Something like so. And let's go up here and put some stuff on this big old tree. Let's put a few little limbs on the bottom. Then on the top, shoot, we'll just put in some nice leaves. Gotta have a few little limbs down here though. Here's an old limb that comes off and goes every which wiggly way. Like that. Maybe there's one on this one. And you take a little bit of that thin brown and white. Actually, you could double load this little brush and do this all in one stroke. However, put a few little things here and there and there and here, and here's one that comes out. Maybe it comes around in front. Another one here, another one there. There. On the top, maybe those limbs, maybe they still have some leaves on them. So we'll take a little dark paint here on the old 2-inch brush and just put the indication of some nice foliage that lives right up here. Oh, there goes my beautiful tree I worked so hard on in the background. But we know it's there. No big deal. We know it's there. There. You know, if you have time, I love to look at photographs of paintings that people have done from watching the show. So if you have time, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. And we'd love to see the paintings. And as time permits, ever so often we put them together on a little board and we like to show them to you. So drop us a line. Let us see what you're doing and let us hear about the successes that are going on in your life. There, a little touch of paint thinner. I want to thin down. Oh, use that same dirty brush and go into a little bright red. That'll make a very dirty red color. Very dull. All right. maybe we'll highlight the tree with that. Ooh, I like that. Shows up against the trees that are in the background. Just a little, right in there. Think about the shape. Don't just hit it random. I like it. I like paintings that aren't real bright, but they're a little harder to do than paintings that are extremely bright. Now, when you're doing yours at home, you do it in any color that you want. Any color that you want, because this will work if you've done it in bright greens or whatever. It really doesn't matter. It's an individual thing. There. Once in a while, I just like to use these colors that are a lot more muted. All right. Something about like that. And shoot, we can take the old liner brush, put a few little sticks here and there and there and here, and we're about to the point of having a finished painting. You could take a little touch of the blue and the white, make that shadow come right on down to really make it interesting, right across the rocks. And I think with that, we'll call that a finished painting. I hope you've enjoyed it. Try the black gesso and let me know how it works for you. From all of us here, happy painting, and God bless, my friend. Hi, welcome back. Certainly glad you could join us today. I thought today we'd just do a fantastic little scene that I believe you'll enjoy. So let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. And while they're doing that, let me show you what I've got done up here. I have my standard old 18 by 24 inch canvas, but you use whatever size is convenient. And I've just covered the entire thing today with a thin, even coat of the liquid white. So it's all ready to go, so shoot, let's just do a happy little painting. I thought today we'd do the painting that you see at the beginning of the show, the little winter scene where the little painter man runs into it. So, show you how that one's made. Let's start out today. We'll use the old 2-inch brush with a little bit of the bright red and just a small amount of cad yellow. I want to make a nice orange color. So we have bright red and just a little cad yellow. Something about like so. And you can just mix these on the brush. All right, let's go right up in here. And maybe somewhere about along in here, we'll just start and make a little orangey circle. Something about like so. About like so. And we might even reflect a little of that down into the water. I don't want too much. Now, take a little yellow ochre and bright red and mix that together, just so it changes the flavor a little bit. Yellow ochre and bright red. Then we go back up here, and we'll add just a little bit of that right around in here. See, that just sort of changes the flavor. There. Okay. Now then, I'm going to wash the old brush, because that's the fun part. Put a little of that right there. Let's wash her off. And we just wash our brushes with odorless paint thinner. And as you've heard me say before, I really, really recommend that it's odorless. And then just beat the devil out of it. Now then, let's go right into a little bit of the alizarin crimson. Just a little crimson. And we just use the same old 2-inch brush. And let's go right up in here. And we'll just drop in a little bit of the crimson color. And I'm using little crisscross strokes, little X's. That makes it much easier to blend later on. We'll come back and we'll blend this entire sky. Just crimson. There. Now then, without washing the brush, I'll take a little alizarin crimson and Prussian blue. And once again, just mix them right on the brush, no big deal. Make a nice lavender color. And we can go up in here and add a little bit of that. And we'll pull a little of that down here in what's eventually going to be water. There. A little touch more for the other side. Prussian blue, alizarin crimson. something like that. And then a little bit more of the Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, and I'm going to add a small amount of black to it. All we're doing is making this progressively darker as it works out. That's all we're trying to do. So we have black, crimson, and blue now. But we want to make it quite a bit darker. There. Okay. And we'll just fill up the rest of the sky with that. Something like so. And a little touch right in there. And maybe a little touch where our water's going to be too. That's quite pretty already. It's just got very nice colors in there. Now then, let me wash the old brush again. I just like to wash the brush. There. And off we go. And that really dries the brush quite dry. There. Now then, I just want to start in the center and begin blending outward. Just blend it outward. But try not to start over here and bring it back. It'll just destroy your nice light area. And we want to keep it dark on the outside and lighter on the center. There we go. Right on out, all the way to the outside of the canvas. Now then, wash the old brush one more time. Just one more time. Kick the bucket there. Now then, I want to take that same brush and go into a little bit of the titanium white. This is just pure titanium white. And we'll go right up in the center area because we want it to be the brightest. And start with this white and begin working outward, outward, outward. And it'll create a beautiful glow in the sky. There, that's all there is to it. And you can do this several times to achieve a desired lightness. So don't be afraid to go back in and do it again if it's not as bright as you want it to be. There. Or if it's too bright, just do the opposite. Pull the dark color in a little bit and you can make it go away. Okay. Something about like that. That's really all we need. And down in here, just very gently go across the entire canvas, and that'll sort of bring it together. We'll work on it a little more as we get into the painting. Very nice. And that's all we need right now. Let's have some fun today. I tell you what, let's take a big gob of black. I'm going to use this color continually through this painting, so I'm going to mix up a bunch. Black, alizarin crimson, and a little bit of the Prussian blue. Not much blue. Black and crimson are about equal amounts, and a little bit of blue. I want this to have sort of a lavender hue to it, but the black and crimson will give you just about all that you need. There. Now then, I'm going to take a little bit of it and put over here and mix with some white. I don't want to mix the entire pile. Just a little bit out in here. There we go. Something like that. Now then, let me grab an old fan brush. I thought maybe today, back here in the background, let's put us a few little evergreens. Now this will not be an exact duplicate of what you saw in the little opening, but it'll be very close. It'll show you how we made that. It only takes a few minutes to paint that little opening, but it takes a lot of fantastic people, nearly all day, to produce that little 30-second thing that you see. That was the brainchild of Jerry Morton, one of our engineers here. There. Okay, but see, that's all there is to making little trees. And we'll give you a little friend right here. And when you do this, you put as many or as few little trees as you want in your world. Just want to show you how to make a tree, and then you decide where you want them, how many you want them, how many that you want. There we are. Maybe another one there. But you should use the corner of the brush, and as you work down the tree, push harder and harder, forcing the bristles to bend downward. Now then, we can take, let's find a little round brush. Maybe there's some little things that grow right along in here. And we can just tap those right on, just using a little round brush. Something like so. here. Just take the corner, lift it off, and we're in business. And we'll sort of just push those right back in there. I'm going to let a little of that color work down in here so it'll be reflections. And we'll have a little reflection in the water. I want this to be very soft up in here though. We can take a 2-inch brush, decide where water and land meet, grab and pull straight down, and we have instant reflections that quick. That quick. It never stops to amaze me how well reflections work in this technique. It used to drive me crazy when I was a traditional painter trying to put reflections in, and now it's one of the easiest things that we do. Little land area right back in here. We'll use that same color and just tap. Just tap in a basic shape, something like so. Maybe it goes all the way across there. Then we can just go into a little bit of the titanium white. I'm going to add the least little touch of liquid white to my brush. And all that does is thin the paint so it'll stick to this thicker paint. Little titanium white. And make it look like there's little snow-covered things back here. Maybe Jack Frost touched it. There. See there? But that easy. You can just create the illusion of all kinds of little things in there. And we can take a knife, little touch of the liquid white. I'm gonna put a least little amount of the bright red into it, just enough to warm it up a little. Cut across. We'll go up here. And with that, we can just put the indication of a little water line in. There we go. Little things happening all through there. I like these little winter scenes that have a lot of color in them. Sometimes winter scenes can be so cold that they're almost unpleasant. I really like these. But when you do yours, you might want a very cold scene. If you do, use predominantly blue. Blue is a very cold color, and I guarantee you, it will make your painting look chilly. You'll have to wear your coat when you paint it. Now then, let's start having some fun. Go right back into some of those same colors. I'm going to darken it a little bit because I want each layer as it comes toward us to get a little darker. Take some of that base color and put right into this other. Okay, let's go up in here. We have a little tree that lives right here. All kinds of little bushes and stuff. They live right out here, and they watch this beautiful area back in here. There we go. Here he comes. This old round brush is something else. It just really makes little trees like this better than anything that I've found, I think. There we go. Just drop them in. And we need a few reflections under that. So at the same time, just let a little of that color come underneath. As I say, reflections might be one of the easiest things that we do here. Pull it straight down. It's important that it goes straight down and then come across. And that easy. That easy. We have instant reflections. Now, let's have us a little tree trunk in there. We need something to hold up all the little things that are happening back in here. We'll take a little of that same color, add some paint thinner to it on the liner brush, and just put in the indication here and there of a few little trunks. We're not going to see many of them, just a few here and there. And I'm going to grab one of the small round brushes. This is the new brush that we introduced in this series. It's just like the big round brush, only it's about half the size, and it's just really nice for sneaking into all those little areas there. Put a little white on it, then get some of my darker color. There we go. Something about like that. But all you do is just tap it to load it. Just tap it. We can come right back up in here and begin putting in some distant highlights on some of these. I don't want this one to be too bright. It's too far away. It's in the background. There we are. Something like so. Maybe a few little doers right in there. There we go. Oh, there's a nice little one. Don't overdo. Don't kill all the dark. If you kill all the dark, then this is just not going to show up very well. That dark is what makes it really show up, makes it spectacular. And this is a beautiful little scene when it's done. Isn't that cute though, the way they have that little painter man walk off into that scene? That's what we call that little character, is a little painter man. There we are. Just take the point of the knife, scrape in a few little sticks, twigs, all kinds of little things that you want in there. Now we can take some, let's take a little of the titanium white and come right in here, and let's put us in a little bit of snow right down here at the base. Something about like so. And angles are most important here. Most important. Be sure to bring it something like that. And if you want to make it look like there's like a little bank here, just take a little dark color and come right underneath and pull it down. And usually I just use a small edge of the knife for the small areas and big edge for the large areas. But it puts a little depth underneath it. Then when you come along and put your waterline in here, you just clean it all up, bring it together. That easy. Okay. And we're in business. And sometimes it's nice. Get a little bit of the liquid white. A little touch of titanium white. I'm just mixing them together. And the liquid white is in there once again, just to make it a little thinner. Put a little touch of the bright red in there. You can just pop in a few little grassy things right along in here, just to sort of break up that edge and bring it all together. It looks like there's little grassy things that grow right down on the bank. And Jack Frost has touched them also. There we go. Yeah, let's take, I'll just use a fan brush. We'll go right into Van Dyke Brown and the dark sienna. Just mix them together. Van Dyke, dark sienna. Mostly Van Dyke though. I want it to be quite dark. We had a couple little trees here. So our little tree is going to live. There's one. There he is. If you don't make that little noise, it won't work. Go. Here we are. And we give him a little friend that lives right in there. Okay. Little bit of the titanium white. Now our light source is right in here, so the light's going to hit and just zing right along like that. Excuse my arm back there, but just a little highlight right along there. And we can take our little liner brush, paint thinner on it. We want to thin this paint down till it's thin as ink. Very, very thin. If you have trouble making it flow, chances are it's just not thin enough. Then let's go right up in here and just put in the indication here and there of a little leaf, or a little, well, I've got it mixed up here. a little arm sticking out here and there. Just limbs and twigs. I'm going to put some leaves up here, or the indication of some. So we're not worried about getting it just right here. Just a few little things. Okay. Now then, let me find my little round brush. And I'll show you a little trick. Let's take a little bit of the liquid clear, and we'll put it up here. And to that, I'm going to mix just titanium white. I want it to be very thin. Very thin. This is liquid clear and titanium white. But see how thin it is? It almost runs right off the palette. All right. Now we'll take our small round brush, put a little bit of the dark color on it. Wipe off some of that. There, a little bit of the dark color. And then just the tip of the bristles, I'll bring it to you. Just the tip we're going to put into that very thin color. So, and then we can go up here and just come around like this. And that's how all those highlights were made on those beautiful little trees there. Just a little touch of that. Isn't that neat? It works so well. This little half-size brush is just absolutely wonderful for doing these little details. That's the reason we've made that one. Now, any place you put this liquid clear, when it dries, it'll have sort of a shine to it, almost like like the painting is glazed. All right, let's go over here on the other side and have some fun now. We'll go back to our big round brush so we can do some big areas, maybe right in there. And we'll just start tapping in all kinds of little things. Put the indication of some great big trees that live in here, like so. And all we're doing here is just tapping. It's really all that's happening. It's just tapping. Just tapping. There. A little bit over in here. I like these kind of scenes. The colors are very, very appealing to me. Very appealing. And they certainly, if you put them in a room, they certainly brighten up a room. And then like that. Over in here we had another little tree. And he lives right there. Just sort of stands right there and watches everything happen. All right. Then we need a little reflection under that. Put our reflection in, take our 2-inch brush, grab it, pull straight down. Once again, straight down. Go across. And that easy, we have our reflection. Then we can come forward and begin putting in all these little areas. But see, it's important that you put that reflection in before you do this, because it's hard to sneak back and put it in. There. All we're doing now is just putting in some dark, so our light areas will show. There, a little bit over here on the other side. See, the big brush just fills in these areas much faster than the little one. There. Of course, that makes sense. Okay, right along to about there. About there. Now we can take our little liner brush, a little bit of the lavender color on it, same color that we made that out of, thin it down, and we can just come in here and begin putting the indication of all kinds of little sticks and twigs that live back in here. They're going to grow up and be big trees too one day. But right now they're just little babies. Just little babies. There we go. Okay, and you decide how many live in your world, wherever you think they should be. And wash off the old brush. And let's see, let me find another fan brush here. We'll use that one. We'll go right into that dark color, load it full of color, a lot of paint on it. And we had one very dark evergreen in there. So let's put him in. He lives right about in there. Just like we made the ones in the background. Touch, use the corner of the brush, and as you work down the tree, push harder and harder, forcing the bristles to bend downward. Downward, downward, down. And that easy, we have a little tree that lives right there. Right there. And you can, maybe there's another one. There, see? Just use the liner brush, and that same lavender color basically is all I'm doing. All right. Now then, back to my fan brush that had the Van Dyke brown on it, the dark sienna mixed together. We had 2 very large trees, and they live right there. This is your bravery test. There's one, and there's his friend, right there. And maybe when you do your painting, you'd like to have 3 trees, or 4, or none. It's really and truly up to you. You put as many or as few trees as you want in your world. There we go. Now then, here comes the fun. We'll take a little bit of the titanium white, grab it, and give it sort of a round pull. Just see. It makes it look like bark on there. Oh, rough bark. A little touch on the other side, but not quite as much, just a little. Just to give the indication that there's a little there. We don't want this other tree left out here, so we'll put some on him. Something like that.